Most investors lose money in junior mining stocks, not because the sector is broken, but because they don't know how to decode them. Headlines, hype, a few flashy drill holes suck people in, and 80% of those companies will never make it. I'm Andrew O'Donnell, founder of The Market Mindset. And after years in finance and watching billions flow in and out of this sector, I built the Drillsheet. 10 factors, 10 minutes, one score that filters out all the noise and shows you which stories deserve your money. First, rocks matter. Without continuity, without scale, without real 3D models, you've got nothing. The Drillsheet asks, is this deposit a system or is it just a one-hit wonder? Without that foundation, the stock dies. Second, bet on people, not just rocks. Has management raised money before? Have they built a mine? Have they sold a project? The Drillsheet scores the team the same way Wall Street scores CEOs, by track record, not by promises. Third, catalysts move stocks, not just rocks. Geology is the foundation, but stocks reprice on events investors can trade. Drill results that prove scale, JV deals, financing, resource updates. Without catalysts on the horizon, even great geology won't move the share price. The Drillsheet maps those catalysts on a timeline, so you know if you're looking at the next re-rate or just watching cash burn. Fourth, know your multiples. If you're paying $100 million market cap for a story your peers are paying $20 million for, you're the bag holder. The Drillsheet benchmarks juniors against peers to know if you're buying leverage or paying for hype. Now, let me be clear. The Drillsheet is not a magic number. It's not a crystal ball. It won't predict the future or tell you when to buy or when to sell. What it does is far more practical. It filters out 80% of those juniors that are just noise, and it shines a spotlight on the small minority with legitimate prospects. It's the fastest way to reveal true potential and to know the right questions to ask next. That's why we tie it to CEO interviews. We've done hundreds of CEO interviews. The score points that spotlight, and the interviews let us drill deeper. This is book one of the Drillsheet series, Unlocking Junior Mining Opportunities. 10 factors, 10 minutes, one score that filters noise and shows you the minority of juniors with a real shot. Here's how to try it. Download book one free right now. Every Friday, we go live with subscribers and we break down the 2 companies that we scored that week. If you subscribe now for just $9, we'll run a drill sheet on your pick, the company you want to see. Send us the ticker and you'll see the framework at work. Stop guessing. Start investing like the pros. Download Unlocking Junior Mining Opportunities today and join us on Friday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. January 21st. Everyone's in Davos. Well, not everyone. I think Mark Carney just left as well. But it's been a very interesting morning. We're going to talk, of course, about mining overall and the outlook for 2026. We've got it up on our Substack as well. We're also going to talk about a couple companies just to kind of highlight how we have started. And I like to watch the Davos stuff. It's hot topic and it's interesting. And all this will remove as much politics as possible. And I put the caveat that it's mining. There is some politics involved. Anything extractive means lots of high level, executive branch discussions, infrastructure. They're not done in a vacuum. And mining is certainly one of those spaces in which they're all critical components if you want something to happen. So to get a sense of this shift, which is very interesting, and I'm big into listening to tone and overall themes, even at Davos or World Economic Forum, which Larry Fink now is leading right now. Yeah, I think he's the temporary or interim leader, CEO, whatever you want, editor-in-chief of WEF. It is definitely moved beyond the aspirational green agenda ideology, not because it's like people need to be, quite cognizant of pollution and everything else. It's just that narrative has definitely had pushback, and rightfully so, because there's a proper way to do a transition, to do it properly, to do it economically, and we're seeing that that shift is happening, and that is very interesting, especially from this globalist type of organization, is that the whether it was Jamie Dimon or certainly Trump, Mark Carney, and others, the message is being very clear. One was New World Order. We're going with China. The other was encouraging that all nations should be putting their own country as first. The U.S. perspective, and this is from Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon as well, is that the overall umbrella of the West should really rethink its concept and ideology and its economic guardrails that it's put on itself. And that's what I love to hear. Now, once again, all your political ideologies and this and that, put it aside, whether you like the person or you don't like the person. If you live in the West, if you're not interested in of prosperity and building the country up, creating great infrastructure, creating jobs, then I don't want to talk to you. Like, I just don't. So I'm not reaching out to you. But if you have any of those aspirations in whatever form, then that's who we're trying to reach to. And that's our messaging as far as politics goes, is that we want often the same things. And whether it is self-driving electric cars or whatever, AI and robotics, we don't care. That all means critical metals, and it all means extraction. And bigger than that, it means supply, logistics, and execution risk and management. Who can actually pull this off? And now, regardless, once again, of politics, is what's happened with the chaos in the world. And rightfully or wrongfully, Trump has definitely moved from virtue signaling and stalling and talking and setting up studies to forcing the West, Europe, and Canada to make a plan and to actually try to build things. And if that's what it takes, hey, I'm all for it. I think a lot of the other stuff is bread and circus, so I don't spend a lot of time on it. Once again, Greenland is a hot topic. I have no interest in talking about it other than, yes, it's got lots of minerals. I don't think you'd have any easy time trying to permit and pull things out of the ground on Greenland just because it's a little bit further away than Canada. So that, once again, I don't spend a lot of time on it. What I do spend a lot of time on is just the simple supply and demand that people are starting to catch up to. They're starting to see, and it's taken as silver going to 90 and gold, sticking above 4,500 for people to realize, once again, whatever narrative story you want to face with and appreciate, whether it's global debt, the U.S. $38 trillion debt, Canada, printing at an exceptional rate. That, regardless of if you think that spend will mean multiples of production and growth and GDP growth and whatnot, it's still a risk. So, with that risk, people will say, well, where's the safest bet for my money? Maybe it isn't in the bonds, and we won't talk about what happened in Japan in the bond market. Maybe it isn't in the currency, although the U.S. is still the stronger currency. Maybe I should just own like an asset, and Lord knows what's happened with housing. So what are you left with? And this is what makes the mining space really going to be on fire in the next year. People are paying attention to the precious metals and to the commodities, and that trickles down into these 8 times earning production companies. You think of something like a Palantir, which was up at like 200 PE. I think NVIDIA was at 50. These companies that are very boring, their infrastructure, their long build outs become very exciting whenever people see this level of spend. And once again, I view this level of spend, I don't think that they're kidding. I think that it is that we're in an AI race that is, when people compare it to the 20s or a war situation like the 40s, is that is the spend they're doing. That didn't bankrupt anyone. I mean, the US came out like gangbusters from that. Lots of debt, lots of spend, lots of growth, and the trajectory went soaring. If you put on the lens that, yes, there's a competition right now, and it is grave, let's just say, which I think people agree. I mean, there's a wide spectrum regarding AI, large language models, robotics, and whatnot. But that's all happening, regardless, once again, of whether you like it or not. There's nothing stopping it. And with that frame of mind, one has to understand that to make that happen means magnitudes of energy. And magnitudes of energy, regardless, even if you were trying to, once again, we said before, even if you're just trying to build out generators for natural gas, that's a huge rollout. And it isn't going to be, because there's tons of copper just to build that. And that's not even what the US administration is saying. They're all for nuclear. They just don't like the wind thing. They will apply solar, but maybe less. But it's their lens is, and what would upset some people would be economic more than environmental impact. So, and that argument, it's not for me. We have to live in that space. But I think both have very good arguments. But at the end of the day, we have to balance out what's the best way to solve this, so that at the end of the day, the West is going to lead the charge and continues to lead the charge. And we're seeing that now, and that language has changed. A lot of pushback from say progressive countries, the Europeans, certainly Gavin Newsom, who don't like this idea, and that's what the big kind of the big barrier is right now. Do you actually want to have a thriving, growing economy in quote unquote the West, or are you willing to defer? And I think most people are coming around to the fact that no, for everyone involved, whether you're a new immigrant to Canada or to the US, you want there to be hope, ambition, that you can make a future. That's why you came. So if we're not providing that for you, you're just going to leave anyway. And that's of no benefit to anyone. It's a big waste, a time waste. And we've got a huge brain talent here in Canada. And I still hold out. Some of my conservative friends think I'm kind of crazy, but I still am holding out. I certainly don't agree with everything Carney's doing, but that he can deliver, and he might. So I'm riding the fence on that one. But I think when you're in my space, that nuance is very important, because it takes away from the fact it doesn't matter what I like and dislike. I have to look at it from, are we going to build projects? Are we going to get metal out of the ground? Are we actually going to start building things? And if someone can do it, Carney certainly can. And that's where I'm going to lay my hat. All the other kind of stuff will sell itself out over time. But especially for this channel and what we're focused on is that true, not just talk, get this metal out of the ground. And listen, if you're being in the junior mining space, last year was an incredible year. I don't think it's going to be too hard a prophecy or telling the future to say 2026 is going to be incredible. And we've already come out of the gate looking really strong. I mean, Power Metallic pulled back there in December, and we don't work with them. We don't have any agreement with them or anything like that. This is one we liked right for years now. We own the stock. We love it. Their biggest news to date, and which has propelled the stock back up to, I think, $1.55 or somewhere, $1.60. Their metallurgical results materially shifted that risk equation. High recoveries of copper, nickel, and precious metals. That tends to be a very big failure point for any polymetallic system. And we're still waiting out on the big step out release. That's a little bit of a strange one that we're still waiting to get those releases. But I'm confident. It's painful because, of course, we want news sooner than later. But we've had to wait a little bit too long on those ones. So we'll be at VREC as well, leaving on Friday. We're going to get to talk to everyone, see everyone, really have some great chats. We'll be live there as well. So I'll be streaming here and there, live content. We'll post it on StreamYard and Twitter as well, and have some interviews. But that's going to be a great time, not only to catch up with everyone, but because we get to go face to face and ask them. And sometimes part of this game, if you want to call it, is seeing the soft skills of seeing a CEO in person and really judging if they're a believer. And some projects are a lot easier than others. And I think over the years of having worked in junior markets, worked at Merrill Lynch, worked in Alberta, worked in BC, pretty good read of the characters in the space. So whenever you get face to face with someone, you can tell often if a CEO thinks they have something. And it's not because they're giving anything away. It's just they know geology. They've built these companies before. They have a track record, and they're like, no, we think we're really onto something. That's no guarantee. But when they feel strongly and they're getting the good numbers, you get an intuitive sense, because geology and mining is a ton of science, but it's also, there's an art to it. There is. And ask a geologist about specific geology on a project. It's like asking someone a stock price on something. You're going to get a broad array and views and opinions, but it is important because you can tell. And that's what's so valuable about in-person at conferences, and makes them so enjoyable as well. Really gets us to hone in on those projects that we're excited about, we think have lots of legs. And I think that they've got a good year ahead of them. This has the potential of being the type of really large story that they're building. And that's what we want for Canada. And that would solve a lot of great problems. And when you get good metallurgy like that, big positive. Nevada Organic Phosphate. We've moved from kind of an excitement phase, getting into more of an execution phase, and that was very exciting. Once again, we used the drill sheet to tell us, essentially, once they had the good assays out, that the second part of that equation was what's the metallurgy, or what are the contaminants going to look like, and that it also told us one of the near-term catalysts was, hey, they'll have that report out in possibly a couple of weeks. That's what the news, that they put out, could be a couple of weeks. So we thought, you know what, I'm going to get out ahead of this. We sent it to our subscribers and said, this is what we're buying. We're going to get some. And that was about 10 days ago or so. And obviously it's done very well. I think it's above 20 cents Canadian right now. And that confirmation of low contaminants, along with the grades, that really is quite impressive. They've got something now. And I think the more people get their heads wrapped around it, and I believe they're going to be at Metals Investor Forum. So if you're in Vancouver, check them out. And I believe that John Kaiser also has written a report. If you want it, reach out to me by email, andrew@themarketmindset.ca. Or once again, I believe he's presenting on them Friday afternoon at Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. Also, a great event. So check it out. Another one that we kind of kept in the back of our mind, and once again, we don't work with them either. We don't have an agreement with them, but we did an interview with someone else about fluorspar, and that made me look at this company called Ares Strategic Mining. And I didn't buy any either, which is unfortunate, but I just kind of kept, I was like, oh yeah, I know who they are. And I just happened to notice yesterday, they certainly have strategic validation, and this isn't promotional at all. They just announced yesterday a significant U.S. government support tied to domestic fluorspar supply. I can't. What was it? 125 million, I believe. So once again, this has moved from promotional to seeing this is how the U.S. is deploying its money into certain projects. We've seen it in antimony. We're going to see it, I suspect, in uranium plays and mills and whatnot, things of that strategic necessity. We'll see it in some of the other plays as well, but maybe not. It'll have to be in very favorable jurisdictions. Let's just put it that way. And that is very interesting. So we're paying a lot more attention now to Ares Strategic Mining. I believe I'd reached out to them at one point, but never did hear back from them. But once again, very niche, exceptionally niche, which we tend to like. We like those niche stories. There's lots of copper and lots of lithium stories, but they're the only game in town. There is one other company that does fluorspar, but they're not producing. This one was ahead of the game. They're producing, and they've got some backing. We're going to spend a bit more time looking at them, and we wanted to talk about it. Just say, hey, listen, this is happening. This is an example of it happening. On the a more private capital side, Neovon, they did a $215 million rare earth raise. That is very impressive. And of course, people are paying a lot more attention to rare earth for a lot of reasons, whether it's for magnets, for cars and whatnot, or equally as necessary is its defense at the end of the day. And we talked about a company that will be going public this year called Endural. That defense industry in the States, which has gotten $1 trillion, I believe, or getting in phase payments, is rapidly changing at an exceptionally high rate. And some of these companies are going to do exceptionally well. And it may not be the Raytheons and the other companies that you saw before. And once again, is this out of my wheelhouse? Not really, because if you want to do all of this, AI, robotics, large language models, like whether it was Palantir or Anduril, that's a lot of metal. And it's also strategic alliances. And it's tying in this big theme that we've had is that this over-reliance on one country in particular doesn't help. We should grow together, and that reminds me at Davos, it was He Lifeng, I believe his name is. He's the vice chairman of China. Excellent speech. He did a fantastic presentation as well, which he urged, like, listen, there's trillions of dollars of wealth out there. If we grow together, we can all become wealthy. 100% agree. And we said it again. The best way to cool temperatures is trade, and do that not with animosity, but a little bit friendlier. But at the same time, that sounds nice, but we can't be doing that. We're handcuffed, and we've been handcuffed for well over a decade. So somewhere in between that of fairness and trade and everything else is at the end of the day, in the real world, there's a race always for whether it's power, resources, wealth, energy, all that. There never will exist a kumbaya scenario out there, or at least I'll say, I can say with firm probability, the likelihood of that happening is near times zero. So if you put that historical framework in mind, one should, be very warm to the second layer of friendships and people they know, but not to just strangers 6,000 miles away. You should take care of your local community and outside, and move from there. And I like this overall strategy that Canada is having now as well, is that we need to be more secure. We need to make sure that we can get metals out of the ground. We need to make sure that we're energy abundant. And there's nothing wrong with any of that conversation. So I see this year moving ahead as being not the aspirational, whimsical talks about hitting emission goals, which we're never going to be hit anyway. Big, like, white paper ideas from bureaucrats. This is going to be execution level type of stuff. And if you're not capable, you're going to be left behind. And the furthest, most extreme point of that is with AI. It's going to become a tool that we either use or you don't, and you'll be left behind. And we're going to see that in a hurry. And I think younger people are grasping that now, that some of them feel a bit overwhelmed and kind of black-pilled from it, but you don't need to. There's going to be tons of job losses, but massive amounts of job gains. It's going to be a time for those that are critical thinkers that can think outside the box to go, wait a second, this is enhancing our ability to think. And I always liken it to, we've had a machine, whether it be the internet and a laptop or one of these things that can give you all the answers you want in the world. And 90% of the population, they use it to watch the most ridiculous things. They don't do research. And once again, it sounds like I'm being very harsh, but truly, they're not. We're not using it for the most part for doing deep critical thinking. Very few are. Just because we have AI, will that change? I doubt it. I doubt it very highly. So that's human nature. That's just how things go. So once again, it'll be an artifact that we integrate with, and those that do will get advantages. That those that choose not to, that's fine as well. But it's very important that we set up people in Canada and in the West to let them know that that's what's happening. It's happening fast. And at the end of the day, if we don't do it, China's doing it. So it isn't that, well, let's slow down and let's not do it. It's getting done. And the fastest thing we can do is we could get our Canadian companies and intelligence to start digging literally in the ground to do it properly and cleanly, so that we do it in a responsible manner and we do it, the way that we want. And I think we're going to see execution this year. And I think we'll even see some in Canada. Once again, a lot of people will call me delusional, but I really do think there is a possibility. And regardless, a lot of these companies are going to have fantastic years. And there's a lot of companies with huge catalysts. So make sure you follow us. If you want to see the drill sheet, that's, we're basing everything in the year ahead off of. you have to be a subscriber, and we want you to be a subscriber. It's $20 a month. I mean, you can do a trade for $9. I think people would want to see this level of detailed of research to remind them of, okay, what is the time frame for these catalysts? What am I waiting on? And what would that look like if they hit or if they don't hit or whatnot? This is what's become invaluable to us. We want it to be invaluable to you as well, and make it accessible. Because once again, the gains in the junior mining space are asymmetric. They can be massive. And if we go into a real actual mining boom, which once again, fundamentally, logistically, and logically, we have to for the world. If you want to try to attempt any of the paths that one is interested in, there's going to be a very long pathway for lots of successful companies. So keep watching. We love all the engagement. We're going to chat our best with you over the next week because it's going to be very busy next week to 10 days with 3 conferences in Vancouver. But we're going to come back with lots more information as well. And we're going to have some great conversations with CEOs. And we look forward to translating that and transmitting it to you. All the best, everyone. And we'll talk to you real soon. Most investors lose money in junior mining stocks, not because the sector is broken, but because they don't know how to decode them. Headlines, hype, a few flashy drill holes suck people in, and 80% of those companies will never make it. I'm Andrew O'Donnell, founder of The Market Mindset. And after years in finance and watching billions flow in and out of this sector, I built the Drillsheet. 10 factors, 10 minutes, 1 score that filters out all the noise and shows you which stories deserve your money. First, rocks matter. Without continuity, without scale, without real 3D models, you've got nothing. The Drillsheet asks, is this deposit a system or is it just a one-hit wonder? Without that foundation, the stock dies. Second, bet on people, not just rocks. Has management raised money before? Have they built a mine? Have they sold a project? The Drillsheet scores the team the same way Wall Street scores CEOs, by track record, not by promises. Third, catalysts move stocks, not just rocks. Geology is the foundation, but stocks reprice on events investors can trade. Drill results that prove scale, JV deals, financing, resource updates. Without catalysts on the horizon, even great geology won't move the share price. The Drillsheet maps those catalysts on a timeline, so you know if you're looking at the next re-rate or just watching cash burn. Fourth, know your multiple.